Oh, God. I'm Proma,
And I'm Radhika,
and
and
together
together
we're
we're
Prom.
Comrade.
As you may have guessed from our outfits and from Radhika's beautiful prop, we are here to celebrate Oscar winner Michael B. Jordan.
Oh my god, it feels so good to say those words together.
What an incredible moment. I do think we should start out with recreating as best as we can the sound that each of us made when that happened, when he won.
I literally screamed in my apartment. I think I did a ah! And my neighbors probably heard me. I'm okay. I'm just letting you guys know.
Yeah.
But my heart was pounding so fast. I don't think I've been that nervous for an award moment in a long time.
It really snuck up on me, the investment. And there was a moment before where I was like, it's just not possible. And then a moment when Adrian Brody was like, pre-saying it, and I was like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. And then I made a sound I've never heard from myself before, a combination of sounds and screeches, which I can't recreate, but it wasn't just a normal scream like you did. It was like a, like a,
I feel like ours were both in the same register, so.
I did not know it would affect me like that.
Yeah, I think this award season has been so crazy too because it's been so long, like it's March, and the Golden Globes were in January. Let's not forget how long ago that was. And there was the Timmy wave. Then in every conversation, there was like, well, there's always Wagner Moura and there's always Ethan Hawke, and people love them. They're fantastic actors. Leo, who actually was not really in the conversation at all, which surprised me. Did you, by the way, see the video of Leo and Michael after that someone shot from above of them just hugging and having a moment, and then Benicio del Toro comes over and kisses Michael's hand, and I was like, this is brother,
Oh.
this is masculinity right here.
Clearly, there was such a swell of support for him that goes beyond his own category or his own film, and people really recognizing that this is the moment for this person. Sometimes it is a career award, or this movie has a different momentum. Like One Battle did end up winning Best Picture, but it felt so earned in all the right ways.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that's what happened to Leo. Like, he went for The Revenant, which I don't ever want to talk about that movie again. I hated it so
I've
deeply.
never watched and I never will.
He climbed into a bear carcass, is all you need to
I
know.
have seen the bear attack scene, and it's more than I wanted to see ever.
Me and Aditya watched that together in Regal Union Square, and we both like contemplated leaving the theater. Like, we hated it so much.
Oh.
And then for him to win for that was like the worst thing that could have. And that was a career Oscar.
But this is also exciting because it's always the reason I think it feels so personal to both of us is like when you follow someone's career for that long, when you've seen that they have the talent like from a young age, but have seen them apply it in so many different ways to so many different projects, when you really get to witness firsthand the love of the craft, the dedication, and the I don't want to say improvement, even though yes, it is improvement, and I'm sure Michael B. Jordan himself and any artist would want to say that they keep improving, but he also just has always been so good.
Yeah.
So it's like in a way not surprising, but has felt so good to be on that journey with him. So today we are going to kind of walk through his filmography and the things that we've seen and kind of at the different points in our life. Whether you're new on the Michael B. Jordan bandwagon, you're welcome. Whether Sinners is the thing that got you into it, or whether you've come in at any point along this journey, today is the day.
And there's definitely things we have not seen, but we want to just highlight the vast array of things that he's taken on and the different types of characters and just things that he's tried over his career, because I think all of that kind of sums up to what he was able to do as Smoke and Stack and Vampire Stack in Sinners.
So two of the biggest things early in his career are The Wire and All My Children. One is a daytime soap, one is a very gritty drama. So two very different vibes. I have not seen any of All My Children. I know that you've watched The Wire, the one season. Um, but he like even the clips I think people have seen is like he's so strong and he's so young. Like he's a little baby. He hasn't even like grown into his face. But he has such depth even in that you can see even when he's a little kid. And then we see Friday Night Lights was later, and that's the first thing that you saw him in when he's a little bit older. He's kind of, we see the beginning of like the adult Michael B. Jordan that we know now.
Yeah, with The Wire, I think the thing that was the most impressive is just that he was holding his own with these really established actors. And that definitely translates to Friday Night Lights because he comes in season 4 of an established show and he really becomes the fulcrum of the show. He is the QB1, which is the most important, student character, and he's taking over for a lot of these really established characters that we had grown to love. And the show does this really amazing magic trick where it takes the team that we had been following, the Dillon Panthers, and it makes them the villain. And it introduces this entirely new set of characters, the East Dillon Lions, which is what we are repping today. And his character, Vince, is really the person that we have to glom onto and want to like root for. And he makes it really hard because his character is so arrogant and so like full of himself. It is through Michael B. Jordan's acting and, of course, the writing that he's given that we kind of peel back the onion with him and we see the wounds that Vince has been carrying and how Coach Taylor works with him to bring out the man that he is inside that, Coach Taylor sees the potential of. And I just think Michael B. Jordan does such a good job of leaning into the arrogance when you need to, but he can show the sensitivity when he needs to as well. And that's really the most impressive part of that show, and that's where I fell in love with him and love him forever.
Yeah, and as you said, he's part of this magic trick. Most shows cannot and won't even attempt to pull off a switch like Friday Night Lights does, which is basically having a bunch of characters leave more than midway through the run. And then on top of that, you have this immense task of bringing in new people. And for them, the pressure on him must have been insane. Like the audience is instinctively not rooting for him because he's new. It's like, who is this person who is joining our little family? And it's always a huge achievement to come in and do that and make them root for you and root for the character. And and he's just so good in it. Like, by the end, like by the finale, when you see Vince's arc, I remember that shot of him in the finale specifically, in those final moments, and like tearing up in our living room.
Vince's arc in season 5 specifically, I remember so distinctly because he's finally getting his life on track. He's got the confidence, but he's not as arrogant anymore. He has the respect of his teammates and of the coaching staff. Colleges are looking at him, and then his dad shows up and just derails the whole thing and takes him a few steps backwards from like all the growth that he's shown. And again, Michael B. Jordan playing that whole arc of figuring himself out. He's a teenager. He's trying to figure out what his next steps are, try to figure out the man that he is trying to become. And one of the best parts of this award season has just been seeing him and Jesse Plemons together.
Yeah.
I really wish Jesse had gotten a nomination because he's fantastic in Begonia and just an incredible actor always.
Yeah.
But their variety, actors on actors that they did was appointment viewing in my living room. And just the way that they still support each other so much. I saw on social media a lot of people yesterday were pointing out that he points at Jesse Plemons as he's walking off stage, and just the brotherhood that they have from this show, it just shows what a legacy the show has and also what it seems like a great working environment they also had, that they were able to forge these lifelong bonds. And I think you can probably thank Jason Katims for that, who was the showrunner, which brings us to the next Michael B. Jordan credit, which is Parenthood.
So this is for me chronologically, I think the first time I had actually watched him in something. Like I was familiar with his face at that point, but I watched Parenthood before Friday Night Lights. And so he came in and I was like, oh, heck yeah, like let's go. He shows up and they're like, okay, here's an attractive man. Like he has reached that point, and it's like a thing where you can't not talk about it in the character. And once again, though, ends up bringing so much depth, so much emotion to the character. He gets involved with Hattie, who we have thoughts about Hattie that are not really positive. He ends up being a character who also makes her a bit more sympathetic too, because she has to recognize like the position she has in her life, the amount of privilege and like lack of awareness, and also comes to appreciate her family, who she otherwise, finds reasons for them to get on her nerves all the time. Like he really brings her down to earth in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a common thread. He brings a lot of humanity to his roles. This is like a through line between Friday Night Lights and even Wallace and The Wire to Parenthood. It's, like you said, it's the depth of the characters. He's creating a three-dimensional character. It's not just like, okay, so he's an alcoholic and he's struggling. There's so much more, and you can tell that he's done his homework to figure out who this person is, why they're making these decisions, and where they want to go in the future. And none of that's necessarily on screen, but you can feel that he's bringing that to the screen, just living in that character.
Okay, so the next thing is Chronicle, which you said you've seen, but I assume is because Michael B. Jordan was in it at that point.
Yeah.
Chronicle is, I think, underappreciated for its time and for any. I've not revisited it. I have not watched it again. I like read this synopsis somewhere once and was like, I need to see this. So this is a found footage, like fake found footage film about three teenagers who end up getting superpowers. There's some sort of natural phenomenon in their town that they discover. Three guys who are not really friends, who are from different kind of social groups, who end up bonded by this thing where then they start experiencing superpowers, figuring them out, don't know what to do with it, having a really good time, but then also experiencing the pitfalls of that in a way that normal people would, that you don't see in, a superhero movie. Again, he's so good at it, and this is the first of another film we'll talk about later where it's just like three guys figuring it out. This movie itself was very powerful for me. The realism of the characters. This is a very naturalistic film as well, in the way that it's shot, in the way that they have to behave, and he just knocks it out of the park. It is definitely a film worth checking out, I would say. I haven't rewatched it in a long time, but it has stayed with me, and I still think about it because of just how it examines that genre in a way that almost nothing else ever has.
Yeah, I have very minimal memories of seeing this, but I remember really liking it. And I think it's a really cool step that he takes in his career where he's doing all of these really, mostly TV roles, honestly, but they're all, small town kid figuring life out. And this is that, but it's with an extra layer. And so I think it's a really natural step, but it's cool that he was kind of thinking about what genres he could put his foot into, and obviously it kind of foreshadows some of the things that he does later in his career that are much larger projects, but it's kind of his first way into that, and I think it was actually a perfect transition from the characters that he was playing before. So moving from Chronicle, the next big project that we want to talk about is his first collaboration with Ryan Coogler, which is Fruitvale Station, which is a tough watch, but one of the most striking and devastating movies I've ever seen, and it really introduces and announces Ryan Coogler, and a lot of the hallmarks of that movie are things that you can kind of see in every project of his, because if you don't know what Fruitvale Station is about, it's about the killing of a black man. His name is Oscar Grant. He was killed at a BART station in the San Francisco, Oakland Bay Area. And it really just takes the audiences through the final day of his life and what leads to those circumstances. It's devastating, but it's, again, one of the first times we see Ryan Coogler's vision on screen, and the pairing of those two, of Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler can really just bring out this amazing, vulnerable side of Michael B. Jordan. Not that I don't think he had shown that before, but I think this is the first time that we see him in such a devastating role and such a affecting, important story to bring to screen. And it just builds on, the library that Michael B. Jordan had built to that point. And it's them at their start of their powers together. And I highly recommend seeing this movie if anyone hasn't seen it. But again, warning that it is a very difficult watch, just knowing the subject matter.
Yeah. I think it's so important, the start of their collaboration together, because there's a lot of layers to it. I don't think people always think about like why an actor and director would continue working together for as long as they have. At this point, that was 2013, that film released, and it's 2026 now that they're winning Oscars together for the same movie. That is rare. Like, you have to feel very, very comfortable. You have to be able to get very vulnerable. You have to feel that you're getting pushed. And this goes for both of them with each other. And to like find that you can bring that out in each other continuously over different projects, over different genres, and over the years as you grow in other parts of your life and your career together is so, so special. And I'm glad that they found it and that they're, clearly sticking with it for now. This is like one of the probably most exciting and fruitful creative collaborations that many of us will witness in our lifetime. And I just want to appreciate that and really like that this is not normal, and it's amazing.
Is Ryan Coogler the best judge of character that we've ever seen? Because he has established a team of Michael B. Jordan, Ludwig Göransson, even his DPs. I think he's had a few different DPs across projects, but he works with all of his department heads over and over and over again and has really created what feels like a family. And you could see that yesterday at the Oscars. Like, one of my favorite moments is when Autumn Gerald Arkapaw won and she's looking for her son, and who goes and grabs him but Ryan Coogler. Like, it just makes you realize, and everyone always talks about what an amazing person he is, but those are those actions where you see that come to life. And it's really beautiful. And I just love that they've found each other. I think Martin Scorsese and Leo kind of have something like that, and of course like Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese. So like there are those pairings, and it's really cool to see one of our contemporary time happening in real time.
Yeah, it speaks to the priorities, I think, and we have seen this time and again from Ryan Coogler, especially what his creative and personal priorities are. And a lot of the time in Hollywood, it does come down to a bottom line, to money or to studios or to politics, and that is fine because it is a job at the end of the day. If you are able to really just put your artistic integrity and your environment and your people first, and you can do that, I think that's what he has done, and he's been lucky to build a career on that. And yeah, you like go through and you collect your people and you're like, okay, so this is working. Why would we give it up?
Exactly. And you don't. Okay, I think the next title is what started the idea for this podcast was we wanted to talk about that awkward moment, which is like a bromantic rom-com, of
Yeah.
which I have not really seen that many. These do not exist.
Yeah. And I mean, I haven't revisited it. I'm sure it's a lot more like 2014 masculinity, because why wouldn't it be? It was released in 2014. That is the grace we need to give to art. But which stars Michael B. Jordan, Miles Teller, and Zac Efron. Zac Efron's like clearly the protagonist, but all of them have their little like romantic side quests in this movie. I would say the position this movie holds in my heart is that there's so much of the boys just like walking and talking through Manhattan with empty coffee cups. To this day, every time I have a to-go coffee cup from a shop, I'm like, wow, I'm living that awkward moment.
The other thing for me is the key to Gramercy Park. I don't think I
Yes.
knew that that was a thing until this movie, that you could actually get a key and go in there, because why would I know that?
We watched it at the time and we were like, we're gonna get the key to Gramercy Park, but at the time we were like sleeping in twin beds in the same room.
Yeah. I briefly reread the Wikipedia of it today because, again, like you have not seen it in like over 10 years. And Michael B. Jordan is married but going through a divorce. And my only thought was, like, why would you ever want to divorce that face? But I don't remember details of their story at all. So,
The next we have in 2015 is Fantastic Four, or as I refer to it internally, Fant4stick, because this is the one where the four is the A. Not a high point culturally, societally, or in Michael's career. I'm sure this movie was dragged. It is not good. He is great in it because he's a great actor, and in the tradition of like actors who have played Johnny Storm, he was just good at it. He brings his own, the charisma that you see elsewhere, kind of that lovable arrogance that we see in Vince, like toned down a little in Johnny, or like made more kind of obviously charming. But the movie is kind of well, all you need to know about this movie, if anyone's curious, which I know you are not, is that the men all go off and get their powers together when they're exploring this alien planet or moon or whatever. And Sue Storm, famously the only woman in the Fantastic Four, is like sitting at a computer and just not part of it. And then they come back and they infect her or whatever. I don't even remember. It's fine. Bye.
okay, so the next one is Creed, which is, I was about to say Michael B. Jordan getting into franchises, but we literally just talked about Fantastic Four. But
That
we
was a
forget that.
that was a failed attempt, and I think it's fair for him to have wanted to not do franchises after that. And he may have already been signed on for Creed, so I'm
And
glad.
crucially, he's doing a franchise at the hands of Ryan Coogler, who we trust
Yes.
with everything. So Creed, I remember when this was being talked about, everyone was like, "Do we need to reboot Rocky or be in that universe again?" The answer is yes. We absolutely needed it. I
Had you
again,
seen the original Rockies? Because I had
I've
not.
seen only the first one, and
Okay.
that is more
I
than enough.
hadn't, so this is also like, from a studio perspective, I was the target demo of like someone who is not interested in the original franchise but is coming into this one because Michael B. Jordan.
And again, it's like they do such a good job of showing the background because, again, for people like us, I didn't even know who Adonis Creed was, and bringing us the story of that rivalry and showing us Apollo's relationship to his father and to Rocky. And again, I think Michael B. Jordan has this little niche where he plays cocky arrogance really well, and especially when he's playing an athlete. Like, and you
Yeah.
kind of need that to play an athlete because that's crucial to success in that world. You have to have blind confidence in yourself, and he just does it so well. Not to mention the abs and the biceps looking real good.
When sometimes like I will play the music in this movie is also amazing because it's Ludwig Göransson. That like main theme, sometimes just rip that in the gym and be like, I am Apollo Creed. Like, where it's like fighting hard.
Yes, continue, please.
No, that's enough, I think. We lost our audio listeners. Fighting strong.
I forget what theater it was, but it was one of the art house theaters in New York. I remember this so distinctly because I had gone to go see something completely random. And in the lobby, I was accosted by a cutout of him with the boxing gloves and just his abs. And I have a picture of it on my phone
How
somewhere.
tall was it?
That it was like, it was on a table, so to be fair, not floor length, but it was large enough to be like,
Yeah, I
really.
mean, I think a postcard of that would have really done you in, so.
I mean, I have held on to this for
Yeah.
however many
Wait,
years.
okay, wait. Let's explain this while we're here because this is around that era. So this is a photo of Michael B. Jordan that I printed at my office at the time, and I stuck on an old bottle, no, not an old bottle of wine,
No, it
another
wasn't.
bottle of wine.
I drank the wine.
Yeah, yeah. So I had just like printed the labels on both sides, and this was your birthday gift that year. Creed era abs.
I drank the wine, and I have kept this bottle, and I will never, ever, ever get rid of it.
All right, and then a couple years go by. Again, he's doing other things. We're doing our greatest hits. 2018, we have a little film called Black Panther. If you don't remember, everything about Black Panther was so exciting because once again, Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, the introduction of this superhero into the Marvel franchise. It wasn't his first appearance because Black Panther, played by Chadwick Boseman, was in Captain America Civil War, but was so good. Like a debut for that character in a film with such a vast ensemble, he made a huge impression. So then people were like, I cannot wait. This movie culturally was such an event. First of all, it did win an Oscar for Ludwig Göransson's score again. A lot of big blockbuster films, Marvel being huge in this category, get shut out of the Oscars repeatedly, despite a lot of artistry.
It got
Previously.
nominated for Best Picture, though, right? Or did
It
it
did get
not?
nominated for Best Picture and Best Costume Design.
Okay.
Ruth Carter,
Yeah.
another who Ryan loves to work with. So that's the thing is like it was treated very much as a Ryan Coogler film, as an artistic film created by a respected writer and director, and not as part of this franchise machine. And Michael B. Jordan plays the villain. So we've been talking about kind of how he brings this arrogant charm to protagonists. He's clearly the antagonist. And actually, I would say he's kind of an anti-hero too in Black Panther because he is the villain because of his methods, but he makes real points. Like Eric is upset at the life that he has led, at the resources that he has been denied, at the state of how black people are treated all over the world, and the fact that Wakanda can't or won't help them. And he really wants to rise up against the oppressors, like change the power dynamic and all of that. And you see there's genuine pain and frustration in it. The difference is that he just wants to like use violence to achieve his ends, and T'Challa's like, well, we don't do that here. But again, he makes that character really hard to root against. You see this like hurt kid a lot of the time when Eric is talking, even as he gets really galvanized or even as he gets violent, and he's still maybe charming isn't the word, but he's so watchable. You cannot take your eyes off him in those scenes. Like the museum heist is a great one. When he takes over, after he fights T'Challa and takes over as King and as Black Panther, we have the his entrance into the palace with that shot and with "What's up, Auntie?" All of that. I can just stand here and like quote all of Black Panther to you, but he's amazing in it. Also, his last line and I think his final scene in that movie is really powerful and got me in the theater, stayed with me, affects me every time I watch the movie. He's doing so much. I think this movie is a great culmination of like skills he demonstrated in a lot of other work, all kind of combined and not where you would expect it, but in this huge blockbuster superhero movie. Am I gonna watch Black Panther after we record? Probably.
I think this marks the first time that he's playing a villain, quote unquote, which, like you said, was more of an anti-hero. But you can just tell he's having so much fun doing it. And the scenes with him and Chadwick are electric. Like they are off the screen, the
His
chemistry, the charisma of the two of them.
his Instagram picture is still him and Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, I think that's what's so amazing. And we keep going back to Ryan Coogler, but he's such a big part of his career that it makes sense. But they're also humble, and the brotherhood is so apparent. But going back to Killmonger, what I loved is at the beginning he feels like a true villain, and he's coming in and he's trying to take down T'Challa and Wakanda and everything around it. This is a testament to the writing again, but it's also Michael B. Jordan's performance of just like when you find out his true motives, you're kind of on his side a little bit. Like we live in a world that's really unfair, and if you have the opportunity to try to change that, wouldn't you take it too? And yeah, that movie is a masterpiece. At first it was kind of sad that he had such a small role, but he's such a pivotal role in that movie
And
that it's just fun to see him do something kind of different too.
and he leaves a lasting impression that just reverberates through at least through that franchise because a lot of Marvel villains are extraordinarily weak. So the few that are strong really stick out, and I think he is easily the best one.
For sure. I mean, that's one of the best, maybe the best Marvel movie
Yeah.
ever. So, makes sense. Okay, so after Black Panther, he of course did Creed 2, which, same praises that we had for Creed 1. 2018, he does Fahrenheit 451, where he's nominated for an Emmy. And then in 2019, he does this little movie called Just Mercy, where he plays a defense attorney in the South, and he is working with inmates on death row. And it's based on a true story. He looks really good in his suits. But I love that he chooses projects that are saying something and that there's a message behind it, and a lot of it is for Black culture and for especially American Black culture. And it again is just shedding a light on the injustices that a lot of the times are happening in the South, specifically to his community. I really liked it. It wasn't like his best performance or his best calling card, but I liked that he tried that, and I like that he again is choosing projects that are trying to say something.
There's the Black Panther sequel, there's Creed 3, which he directed. There's the Netflix series Raising Dion, which I saw a long time ago. I believe he plays a father in that, and that also kind of has this like the superhero thing, more in the vein of Chronicle than something like Marvel. And then I think the next big one for me is Sinners, which looking at his IMDb means that I had experienced a bit of a Michael B. Jordan drought before that. So no wonder I went into that movie thirsty as hell in more ways than one. Yeah. We haven't actually talked much about our individual experience of Sinners. I do remember seeing the trailer and being kind of like, what? I know I'm going to go see it because it's Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, but right up top being like, I feel like they're not marketing this well. And I wonder why that is. Went to the theater, didn't know at all what I was getting into. I was absolutely floored. I haven't felt that way after a movie since Parasite, probably. A couple of my friends were like putting on their coats afterward, and me and one other person were like, no, can we sit and just like sit with this for a minute? And then I saw it in theaters 4 times.
I was only gonna see it because of Michael B. Jordan, because famously I don't like horror, and so to me it was marketed as a vampire movie, which of course it is that, but it's so much more than that. But I was very skeptical as to whether I would like it. Also, can I handle it? Because I get nightmares from watching scary things. And like you said, I don't think it was marketed. Well, it was marketed in the most obvious way, I think, which is they really leaned on the vampire aspect of it. But at the same time, I almost am glad it didn't try to tell us what it was actually trying to be about, because I hate when trailers give away everything. There's definitely a balance there of saying enough to get people interested, but leaving out, why people are actually going to come to the audience or come to the theater. So I don't know what the right answer there is, but I mean, I went, right? Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, I will be seated for everything that they do. I have seen everything that they've done together. I only saw it twice in theaters, but it's one of those movies that there's so many layers that you see, and I'm sure you feel this way with 4 times. Like, there's so much more you get every single time that you see it, because it sat a lot more, like, heavy on me in the second time, just because I was like, oh, there's so much more happening here that I hadn't picked up the first time.
Yeah, going in the second time, just knowing what happens and carrying that knowledge going into it was different. Part of the reason this award season has felt so drawn out is because Sinners came out pretty much a year ago, and that's when the awards buzz started for that movie specifically. And that's been a fun conversation to follow because it actually just continued to pick up momentum the entire time. Like last year, I do remember it was the early conversation. And I was like, okay, don't get my hopes up. I know how the Academy works. It's not going to happen. And so to see things actually happen was fantastic.
And the early conversation about it was actually so annoying because it was about box office more than anything. And a lot of hullabaloo was made about them not making back the the budget of the movie, which I think now it has done in spades. So we're not qualified to talk about money.
We don't have any.
It was a good IMAX viewing. I had a great time. He's doing a double role in this, playing twins. And, not to rehash what everyone has already said on the internet, but it's so impressive the way that each twin is distinct. You can tell who's who, not just based on the costuming, but the way that he is carrying himself, the way that he's walking, the way that he's talking to people, just the little facial expressions that he does for each character. You can tell how much work went into this, and I'm just so happy that he was rewarded for it because it is a performance of a lifetime, honestly. It's a culmination of everything that we've been talking about, of how much preparation he does. You don't want to see the preparation on screen, but it does come through in the performance, and I'm just so happy for him. And it's just like, and not to mention he's playing like half of another character because one of the, spoilers, but one of the brothers gets turned into a vampire and he has to then play what that would look like, and playing up the aggression of that character in a certain way, and the menacing qualities of a vampire. And he did so much in the space of that movie, and it's just fantastic and incredible.
This is a movie and a performance that we're going to be talking about for so much longer than any award season, and I'm just thrilled that it is getting its due, and needed as well.
It feels so good. The next thing he's doing is a Thomas Crown Affair reboot that he's starring in, so I'll be seated for that. I'm just really excited to continue following his career. He's just a good celebrity. Like, he's not problematic. He has such a great reputation.
I follow very few celebrities on social media just because they do have to become like a marketing machine for whatever they're promoting, and that's fine. But I'm like I don't need it. He's one of the few that I still follow, and I love it.
And I love it. Okay, well, we're really happy for you, Michael. I know you're going to see this. Did you see that he went to In-N-Out last night after?
Yeah. I was
Everything
gonna
about
send
it.
it to you, and then I was like, A, she's already seen it, but B, she's probably upset that she didn't go to every In-N-Out
And
in
I
the
didn't
city.
think to go. I live so, like, I'm close to the Dolby Theater, so I think I know which In-N-Out he went to.
Maybe next time for his next Oscar.
Also, he was basically wearing a Shervani last night, which, like, makes it even better.
Yeah, that was a real attack. That was a lot. Thank you everyone again for joining us. If you are a Day One MBJ fan, very impressive. Tell me what episodes of All My Children to watch, I guess, or if you just got on the train. And congratulations, Michael B. Jordan, Clear
Congratulations,
Eyes, Full
Jordan.
Hearts.
Can't lose. Like, comment, subscribe. We are on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all of the things. Instagram.
TikTok. And choose your own adventure because there are many, many options.
And let us know what you think about our new intro and outro music because
Yes.
it's fun. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
I hate you.